Abraham Lincoln, one of the fighters against the dark thing. Abraham Lincoln was born on February 12, 1809 in Hodgenville, Kentucky. As a child, Lincoln often been portrayed as the rail splitter, the strong, muscular frontiersman holding a heavy axe and splitting logs to make rail fences. In the election of 1860, he was popularized as a rail candidate, and biographers described him practically growing up with an axe in his hand. Lincoln lived with his brother Thomas Lincoln, his sister Sarah Lincoln Grisby, his pet dog Fido, and his parents in the log cabin. Lincoln became a lawyer at the age of 22, with only a year less of education. After the Black Hawk War, Abraham Lincoln began his political career and was elected to the Illinois State Legislature in 1834 as a member of the Whig Party. He supported the Whig politics of government-sponsored base and protective duties. This political understanding led him to formulate his early views on slavery, not so much as a moral wrong, but as an impediment to economic development. It was around this time that he decided to become a lawyer, teaching himself the law by reading William Blackstone's Commentaries on the Laws of England. After being admitted to the bar in 1837, he moved to Springfield, on November 6, Abraham Lincoln was elected to become the 16th president. When he was elected president in 1860, political operators in Illinois organized a campaign to support Abraham Lincoln for the presidency. On May 18th, at the Republican National Convention in Chicago, Lincoln surpassed better-known candidates such as William Seward of New York and Solomon P. Chase of Ohio. Lincoln's nomination was due in part to his moderate views on slavery, his support for improving the national infrastructure, and the protective tariff. In the general election, Lincoln faced his friend and rival, Stephen Douglas, this time besting him in a four-way race that included John C. Breckinridge of the Northern Democrats and John Bell of the Constitution Party. Lincoln received not quite 40% of the popular vote, but carried 180 of 303 electoral votes. Abraham Lincoln selected a strong cabinet composed of many of his political rivals, including William Seward, Solomon P. Chase, Edward Bates, Edwin Stanton. Formed out the saying, "Hold your friends close and your enemies closer," Lincoln's cabinet became one of the strongest assets in the first term in office, and he would need them. Before his starting point, in March 1861, 7 southern states had seceded from the Union, and by April, the U.S. military installation, Fort Sumter, was under siege in Charleston Harbor, South Carolina. In the early morning hours of April 12, 1861, the gun stationed to protect the harbor blazed toward the fort, signaling the start of America's costliest and most deadliest war. Abraham Lincoln responded to the crisis wielding powers as no other president before him. He distributed $2 million from the Treasury for war material without an appropriation from Congress. He called for 75,000 volunteers into military service without a declaration of war, and he suspended the writ of habeas corpus, the arresting and imprisoning suspected Confederate sympathizers without a warrant. Crushing the rebellion would be difficult under any circumstances, but the Civil War, with its preceding decades of white-hot partisan politics, was especially onerous. From all directions, Lincoln faced discouragement and defiance. He was often at odds with his generals, his cabinet, and his party, and a majority of the American people. The Union Army's first year and a half of battlefield defeats made it especially difficult to keep morale up and support strong for a reunification of the nation. With the hopeful but by no means conclusive Union victory at Antietam on September 22, 1862, Lincoln felt confident enough to reshape the cause of the war from saving the Union to abolishing slavery. He He issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, which stated that all individuals who were held as slaves in rebellious states henceforth shall be free. This action influenced the followers in his footsteps, such as Martin Luther King Jr., and this is also how he fought the evil. On April 14, 1865, John Wilkes Booth, the famous actor and Confederate sympathizer, fatally shot President Abraham Lincoln at a play at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. The attack came only 5 days after Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrendered his massive army at Appomattox Courthouse, Virginia, effectively ending the American Civil War. We see Abraham Lincoln on many places such as a $5 bill, Mount Rushmore, and a penny. In his memory, we built the memorial which can be found in Washington, D.C. Lincoln is a light for us because we think about how he ended Civil War and reunited the United States. Fun facts about Abraham Lincoln. Did you know that Abraham Lincoln's beard was grown only because a girl sent a letter about how it would make him in a better appearance? Did you know that there is a ghost story that after Abraham Lincoln died, he haunted the White House? Lincoln's favorite sport was wrestling. Thank you for watching.